Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Evie Evans, and I am representing the Chatham Community Library today. I'm a library assistant, and I'd like to welcome you all to today's virtual performance of the Kwanzaa Experience. It's presented by Elisha Minter, and who is a graduate of the UNC Charlotte. She has a BA in African American and African Studies and has extensive backgrounds in music and theater. Mother Minter has a storytelling and theatrical career that spans well over 25 years, during which time she has performed on stage and in community theater. She's also appeared in films, one of them being The Ultimate Gift, starring James Garner. She's been on stage in The Wiz, South Pacific, Showboat, and The Proposal. And as a writer, she has been featured in several magazines in North Carolina, and she has published children's books. Uh, Before I move forward, I just want to say thank you to the friends of the Chatham Community Library because this program is being presented under their sponsorship. So we always want to say thank you to them and say hello to them. If they happen to be online with us, it's even better. So let's see. I think that's enough from me. And what I'd like to do is I want to turn this right on over to Elisha Minter. Mother Minter, you can take it away.
Good evening. Good evening to everyone. And thank you so much for having me in Chatham County to present information about Kwanzaa and the practices of Kwanzaa during this month. We'll give you a little bit of the history, and we'll see how we go from there. It's very good to be in a place that I've never been before, even if it is virtually. Virtually seems to be the way to go right now. I'm going to sing just a little song because music and culture is a very important part of Kwanzaa. And if you know it, you can sing along with me. Here we go. It's a welcome song. It goes like this. Banga lafia ashe ashe. Banga lafia ashe ashe. Banga lafia ashe ashe. Banga lafia ashe ashe. Ile be ashe ashe. Ile be ashe ashe. Ile be ashe ashe. Ile be ashe ashe. Ashe ashe. Ashe ashe. We would usually sing that for 15, 20 minutes when we're getting ready for a program with the drums rolling in the background and a festive occasion. It signifies because Kwanzaa is a festive occasion. It's the only non-heroic, non-religious African American celebration, and it was founded in 1966 by Dr. Malana Karanga. It is created out of the culture nationalist philosophy called Kawaida. And this philosophy just argues that the key challenge in Black Americans' lives today and Black people's lives today is the challenge of culture, remembering where our culture came from, remembering where we came from, and that what Africans and African Americans must do, and Africans all over the diaspora, is discover again and bring forth the best of that culture, both ancient and current. So we're not just talking about present day history, we're talking about as far as the mind can go back to the lands of Africa, where we learned math, where we learned science, where we learned all the things that most of cultures built on today. It is said that Africa is the birthplace of the first human, and we are just really excited about knowing that history and knowing how things came to be. It's not just about knowing the music of today, it's about knowing the music of yesterday, knowing the culture of yesterday, how things were made, how things came about. And it uses this foundation to bring into being models of human excellence and possibilities to enrich and expand our lives here today and everywhere. Kwanzaa can be celebrated by everyone. We welcome everyone to celebrate Kwanzaa, and it's celebrated during this time of the year between December 26th, which is the day after Christmas, and runs through January 1st. It is based on the agricultural celebrations of Africa, and that's Kwanzaa without the second A. That's Kwanzaa. And we celebrate Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa. And so, but it's built on that first fruits, the first fruits that are harvested in the land, a harvest celebration. But we also are harvesting the things that are around us, like our friends and our families coming together, sharing together, and being together. In fact, the fundamental activities of Kwanzaa include harvest, ingathering, reverence, commemoration, recommitment, and celebration. We celebrate each other. We celebrate the times. We celebrate the good times, and we ask questions about things that are going on in our community and making sure that everything that we're doing is uplifting to the people, to the community. Kwanzaa was created in the midst of struggle, however, during the times in the 60s where things were coming apart. It seemed that people were against one another, and African Americans in specific had a very hard time because there were things such as elements of Jim Crow being left over, and elements of society not appreciating the worth of African Americans and Black people in general. The organization US helped in the creation under the direction of Dr. Malana Karanga. And it is celebrated now by millions and millions of people across the continent, across the world, and especially here in the United States. Now, I talked about just a little bit of those fundamental activities, the ingathering of the people. That's where we come together during this time. And special reverences to our Creator and our creation. So it's not a religious ceremony. So it does not take the place of Christmas. I hear that all the time, but you need to understand that nothing can take the place of Christmas. Nothing can take the place of your sacred holidays that you're having. Kwanzaa stands alone and stands strong in what it does and what it means to each other. Commemorations of the past, learning about your history, knowing that we didn't just wake up one morning and have all the things that we have now. Things were created, things were given, things were taught. A recommitment to highest ideals. The Nguzo Saba, which we'll talk a little bit about in a few minutes, are principles that can be lived not only during the week of Kwanzaa, but should be lived year round from January 1 to December 31st. These are things and practices that you teach your children in the home, how to respect one another's growing up, how to respect one another's things, the items that belong to each other, how to have respect for one another. We'll talk more about the Nguzo Saba as we go along. And last but not least, the celebration of good, all that is good all around us, all the things that you see that are good, good fruit, good food, good life, good living, good friends, good service, all the things that are good. We celebrate that at this time during Kwanzaa. Now, in order to celebrate Kwanzaa, there are certain symbols that we use and that are basically built around the principles of Kwanzaa that we use to enjoy that. This is just a little picture, and I hope you can see this book that shows a Kwanzaa setup with a family encouraging and celebrating Kwanzaa and actually lighting the candles. We'll talk about all the things that are on that table and how they are relevant to the practice of Kwanzaa. This year, I wanted to tell you that Kwanzaa always has a theme that Dr. Karana, Malana Karinga, I'm sorry, I got that twisted up a little bit, but that he talks about. And this year's theme is Kwanzaa and the well-being of the world, which is a great theme. Living and uplifting the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. As I just said, we live them year by year. Let me talk to you about the table that we set. And that was the picture that you saw on the book. We talk about the mat. And your mat can be as large, but everything should be able to fit on the mat. Sometimes I combine mats like this, 3 or 4 together, so that on my formal table, we will have enough room to put everything that goes on that. This is our foundation. The makika the mat is called the makika in Kiswahili. And this is symbolic of our tradition and history, and therefore is a foundation to which we hold. So you would have your mat, everything else would rest on the mat, and we would put them together. And parents, I like to see the children know what these symbols are and what they represent, so that they can help you to set your table. It's not just about you setting the table and they coming around it, but they need to know what these symbols are. So in addition to the makika, we would have, of course, our canara, our candle holder. This is the one that I use in my home and in presentations. And you see that it holds the Nguzo Saba, the 7 candles of Kwanzaa. There are 7 days to Kwanzaa. So each candle represents a day. We will talk about that when we talk about our principles and how to light that. This is a handmade canara or candle holder that we use for our symbolic roots and our parent people and continental Africans. So in other words, it can be handmade. We suggested most things be handmade. Of course, you can buy handmade items in the store and have that as a part of your collection. I'm going to put this to the side now so that I can talk a little bit more about the other item. That would go directly on the mat. Of course, the kanara and the candles, the Nguzo Saba, and also you would have the cup of unity. This is the cup of unity. It can be any cup. Usually we like for items to be wooden. It can be shaped any kind of way. This is just the way my gift was given to me, but we see them in all different shapes and sizes. This is symbolic of the foundational principle of unity. In other words, that means the unity cup and the practice of unity, which makes all things possible. In other words, together we can do anything. It's hard to be a nation, a people, a family without unity in that family. So this cup represents that. And we would also have on the table with the cup some type of plant that we could pour libation. I'll talk about libation in just a minute as well. We also would have on the table at least 1 ear of corn, and preferably in your families, you would have an ear of corn for each of the children in your home. So this, when you see corn, you see all those little kernels, and from the children come so many different things, so many different activities that we can talk about, but it signifies growth and growing in the population. Without the children, we have no future. So we put an ear of corn for each child to make sure that they are represented in the home. Of course, we would just have a selection of corn. You can also get dried corn. I had to get real live corn because of the time of the year, and I missed getting my harvested corn, my dried corn in the beginning. So in other words, you need to start pulling together throughout the year when you see these things that you need for celebration. Last but not least, well, not even last, but not least, is a representation of your fruits and your vegetables. the actual harvest, the crops. This is symbolic of the African harvest celebration of Kwanzaa with the 1A. And this rewards the productive and collective labor. We work all year long, and because of the type of harvest celebration Kwanzaa is, we talk about the crops that would come in. So I just have a small basket here. Your basket can be large, your basket can be full, your basket can have many vegetables, many fruits in it, as long as it's on the table, okay? Somewhere on the table, there would be some representation of those Nguzo Saba. This is one of the crafts that we make when we do programs, live programs with the children, and it has the different principles on the wall hanging. And when they finish making this, they can hang it in their rooms so that they can remember Kwanzaa year round. The children enjoy making it. They enjoy doing arts and crafts anyway. If you're not doing arts and crafts while you're home virtually, it's a good break for you. Get some crafts done, and the children can stay entertained 20, 30 minutes and give you a break. All right, and last but not least on the table, we would share the zawadi. These are the gifts earned by the children. Now, there's a little bit different principle for the zawadi than just any other type of birthday or Christmas gift or celebration gift, anniversary gift, or anything. These are items that are earned. When you sit together at Kwanzaa this year, you would talk with the children and ask them about things that they want to accomplish during the year. And if those things are accomplished by the end of the year, then they would receive a gift. It's not just gimme, gimme, gimme. These are gifts that are earned. It teaches them the principle of sowing and reaping. It teaches them the principle of being responsible and collective work. It's wonderful if the things are handmade. Both of these are handmade. This is a small djembe drum that was given to me by my grandchildren, and this is a bracelet that was made for me from the House of Africa. So these things were not, they were bought, but they were handmade things. So we look for things that they can make and take, and that means something to them and will mean something to you. There are two other principles, two other symbols that I don't have with me today, and that's the flag, the red, black, and green flag that was developed by the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey as national colors for African Americans. So there, hence we use the red, black, and green again in the flag, and it's also we use the red, black, and green candles for the candle holder. And I showed you the Nguzo Saba poster, and these can range in size, but they would be posted somewhere with the different and Nguzo Saba on there. It can be something as simple as this on a card or on a ship. And I know it's hard for you to see. Very good. Let me show you a little bit closer. A family holiday, and then we have just the dates and that. Now, in beginning to actually have a Kwanzaa celebration, we would start with the Tamshila Tambiko, which is the libation statement. And this is where we would pour our libation. And I mentioned libation before because it would have water in the cup. I'm not using water today because of the close proximity that I have here. And you would use this, and you would pour libation to your relatives, to our fathers, our mothers, to famous African-American historians, African-Americans in history, such as Shaka Zulu, Shamari, and Zinga, to our children, to our mothers, our fathers that have gone on, our ancestors, and to great men similar to Dr. Martin Luther King. You would pour and say the libation. And there is a printed one from the book by Dr. Karinga, but you can also create your own. The printed one is usually found in his book, and you can also find it online. We would pour libation, and that's just thanking everyone for all that they did to bring us to this point where we are in life right now, that we know that we can do all things. Let's talk about the Kwanzaa symbols, the Nguzo Saba. Kwanzaa was created to introduce and reinforce 7 basic values of African culture, which contribute to building and reinforcing community among African Americans, as well as Africans throughout the world African community. And we call that the diaspora. These values are called the Nguzo Saba, and it's from the Pan-African language of Swahili. So we're going to go through them together, and I'm going to take the candle that goes with it and show you what we do. We light the candles, the one in the center of the, let's see, how am I going to do this? I'm going to do it this way. We light the candles along with each principle. Each night we celebrate a principle. The first night is the Nguzo, is Umoja, and it's to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nations, and race. And we would light the black candle in the center. That's our foundation. We're talking about Black people. We're talking about the culture of Black people and things of that nature. The second principle would be Kuja Chakalia, self-determination. And we would light the red candle. And then the third candle would be a green candle, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Let me go back to Kuja Chakalia. Kuja Chakalia means to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. The next night we would light another red candle, and it would be Ujama, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. The next night would be Nia, which stands for purpose, to make our collective vocation the vocation and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. The next night, we would light a red candle, Kuumba, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. And for the last night, it would be Imani, which stands for faith, to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. One last thing in looking at the candles, we know that Black stands for the people, red stands for the struggle or the blood that was shed, and green stands for the land, for growth. So red, Black, and green. Now, in making your zawadi for your children, we make little gifts. This was a handmade gift, and I think I talked about that a little bit. But something simple. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate unless you have the talent. Wherever your talents lie, you can use that. There's another traditional thing that we do with Kwanzaa, and that's the karamu on the very last night of Kwanzaa, or whatever. If you're only celebrating one night, you would generally do it that. And that karamu is when we get together and everybody brings a good old covered dish, or their famous dish that they made, an African dish, or just some good old rice and chicken. And you would bring that and some good old fruit sliced up, and everybody would have a great feast together after the closing of the ceremony on that evening. This is a time where we dance and we spend time together and we have great fun in the community. It's a time where you meet and greet friends that you have not seen, some of them since the last time Kwanzaa was together. We're really going to be missing Kwanzaa in person this year because we're doing it virtually because of the times that we're in right now. But when you can, in your home, you can still fix a meal and celebrate and dance together. At the closing of Kwanzaa on that evening, you would read the Tamshi La Tutanana, which is the farewell statement, a final reinforcing gesture that says farewell to those that have come together. You feast on the karamu. You talked about all the things and said in great numbers, hopefully, and just being together in the community, standing and being led into the final aspect where we do Harambe. So when we finish today, I'm going to read that statement and we're going to do Harambe together. And that's just the opening of the hands and pulling down with a fist. It means pull together. Harambe means pull together. Pulling together in the community, pulling together in your homes. If your brother's having a hard time making up his bed, you might want to pull together and help each other make that bed up so it'll look real nice and tight. Not being ashamed or feeling like you don't have to work together. In a family, we have to work together. And in our communities, we have to work together in order for things to come together. Harambe means pull together, and it's chanted for 7 times at the end of the farewell statement. So when we get there, I will make sure that we do that. Now I wanted to share a little story with you because I see I have some children that are here, and hopefully you will get the understanding and the meaning of the story. There was once a young boy, and he lived with his father. His mother had become an ancestor. She was no longer with them. But that father and that brother, that young boy grew closer and closer together. He tried to show him all the things that were important to him, how working together with whoever he was with, how being a good steward of what he had, making sure he took care of the things that he had in the family, taking care of the home, making sure that everything that the house needed was together. He worked with the people. Well, this boy's father became really ill, and his father would always tell him as he was growing up, make sure you always take care of the people that take care of you. Make sure you always respect your elders. Make sure you always take care of your home and your land, and your home and your land, and the people that take care of you will continue to take care of you as long as you live. The boy's father got sick, and he said, Father, please, you must get well. You must not leave me. I need you, Father, please, please. But unfortunately, it was the time for him to make transition and become an ancestor. The boy did not understand. He had prayed. He had asked his father not to leave him, and he was very angry. He laid in the bed, not doing any chores, not working, not trying to help out around the house. And when the servants that he had in his home, which was a big, lovely home, would come to bring him food, he would act very ugly toward them, Leave me alone. I'm missing my father. Don't you know that? Leave me alone. Well, soon people did leave him alone. He was all alone by himself, and no one wanted to have anything to do with him. And finally, the boy was laying in his bed grumbling and moaning, and it got very quiet in the house. There was no one there. When he got up to look around, all the servants had left. They left the front door open. The animals were walking all around the yard, not in the stables, not in their fences. Where is everyone gone? He said. Why have they left me here all by myself? I am hungry. Someone feed me. But of course, he had run everyone away because he had acted not like the prince that he was, but like someone that had no one to care for him. And now there he was in the village with no one to care for him, no one at his home. Everyone had left. The boy quickly put something on and he started walking. He was walking and he could see some people that he remembered that worked at his house, working for other people now. He could see people working in the fields, and they would not even look at him. He kept walking and walking that day until he became very tired. He came to a large baobab tree, and he sat under the baobab tree and he sobbed. Nobody likes me anymore. Nobody wants to help me. What about me? And that's all he cared about was his very own self. The boy sat under that tree, and finally he drifted off to sleep, only to be awakened by a sound. Mm, 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 mm. It got louder and louder, and the boy woke up and, who is awakened me? What is going on? And he looked up in the tree, and when he looked in the tree, he saw the weaver birds working together. Some would bring straw, others would weave it in and out those birds would go. Then he saw them bringing food and putting it in the nest. Weaver bird nests are very long and very large because they house more than one family. And these birds work together. And then he looked around that baobab tree and he saw the other animals coming, picking fruit for themselves, giving each other help. The great giraffe would throw down fruit and put it in the mouths of their babies and leave some for those that were much too short to pick the fruit for them. Everybody was working together. At the big creek, the little creek that was around the big baobab tree, there were animals drinking water, taking turns. Everyone reverenced the lion when he came and allowed him to drink in peace. And then he would go away and leave them alone. The boy said, "This is strange. These animals are working together." And then he remembered what his father had said to him. His father had said, the people that work with you and take care of you, you are to take care of them. The people that help in the home, in the fields, you are to help in the home and in the fields too. And these people will in turn take care of you. The boy jumped to his feet and he began to run. He ran as fast as he could back to his home. And he now was not moaning and groaning as he had before, as he was so sad about his father. The words of his father had brightened his heart, and he remembered that he too had to work in the community and do what was right. He started sweeping his own yard off, and he heard someone calling for help. He ran to where that person was and helped them. And the man said, I remember you. You are the prince that forgot what your father had said. Yes, he said, I am, but I remember now, and I am here to help you. When everyone heard that he helped someone else, everyone that worked for his father came back and began to help him paint his house and clean his house. Soon you've heard the ladies in the kitchen making bread and making good food for him to eat. And they all sat down and ate together. The boy remembered the words of his father, and he remembered that it is not enough to be alone and by yourself. It is not enough to be ruler over some people and not have rule over your own self. He remembered that it was so important that they all worked together to make their community better and a brighter place for them all to live. And from that day to this, that boy has never forgotten the words of his father again. The community that works together, stays together, plays together, lives and loves together, and celebrates the harvest together. And that's the end of that story. It is so very important that we remember the principles of Kwanzaa. It is so important that we remember how things are to work, the order of things. It is not enough to rule over people. It is not enough to take for granted the importance of things that each person does. Now, I would like to read for you our closing statement, our farewell statement. And I would like for you to join me in the pulling together, the pulling down 7 times after I read the statement. The Tamshi La Tutanana. And it reads as follows. To strive for discipline, dedication, and achievement in all you do. Dare, struggle, and sacrifice, and gain the strength that comes from this. Build where you are and dare leave a legacy that will live and last as long as the sun shines and the waters flow. Practice daily Umoja, Kujachakalia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Kuumba, and Imani. And may the wisdom of the ancestors always walk with us. May the year's end meet us laughing and stronger. May our children honor us by following our example in love and struggle. And at the end of the next year, may we sit again together in larger numbers with greater achievement and closer to liberation and a higher level of human life. Harambe, 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 Harambe. And on that last one, we're supposed to hold it as long as we can. Can we try that last one again? Harambe! Let's learn to pull together and make sure that we make Kwanzaa a part of our life and a part of our daily living as we go throughout this world. Now, Kwanzaa, as I said, can be celebrated not only during that week of Kwanzaa, but every day in your life. We see Kwanzaa going on with people taking care of people each and every day. So think about and discuss with your family some of the ways that you can celebrate Kwanzaa on a daily basis in your home. And I hope that you all have gotten some information as far as celebrating Kwanzaa and making your home a place of celebration this year. I suggest the book Kwanzaa, A Celebration of Family, Community, and Culture by Dr. Malana Karinga, which was published in 2008. All the information that you received today can be found on the official Kwanzaa website. So you don't have to depend on just what I'm saying. You can go to the source and get the actual book, and also see on the Kwanzaa website the official patterns and techniques that are used in celebrating Kwanzaa. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today. And we're going to open up the floor for some questions and answers. I may not know all the answers, but I'll give you the answers that I do know and direct you to those two sources for you to find out even more. Do we have any questions today?
I had a question, Elisha, and that was on that last night of Kwanzaa, when you say farewell to all that have gathered, do you also remember your ancestors and those that have gone before you?
Each night, if you remember in the beginning, I said we pour libation and we remember our ancestors that have gone on before us, great men and women from our history. So we do that each night, not just on the last night. On the last night, we do add some of our personal family members as well. And especially if you're doing it in the home, you can talk about your grandparents that may have gone on, or great men and women in your family that your children need to know about. It's so very important that our history, our family history, is told, as well as the history of African American and African American people all over. People that have helped in the struggle as well.
What kind of traditional foods do people that celebrate Kwanzaa eat?
Oh, well, we eat a little bit of everything, baby. We eat chicken and fish. We usually don't use any pork items or red meat items, but we do a lot of chicken and fish, poultry and fish, turkey included. We eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Okay. Why? Because fruits and vegetables are good for you, right?
Yep.
And we have some types of grain. Cornbread is a staple when we come together. We don't do a lot of sweets. We usually use the fruit for sweets, but you can use whatever is common to your home and that you love to eat as well. But we stress being healthy at this time.
Is Kwanzaa like Thanksgiving?
Kwanzaa is like Thanksgiving only in that we're giving thanks for being together. Okay? It's a separate holiday. It stands on its own, but it has similarities, I guess you might say, to Thanksgiving, in that we're thanking everyone for being together and working together and observing the 7 principles. Does that answer your question? Yeah, it doesn't take the place of Thanksgiving, but it is similar to Thanksgiving in that we're giving thanks to the ancestors. We're giving thanks to our mothers and fathers and our friends and our teachers for doing all the things that they do for us to teach us about our history.
Are there other questions or comments for Elisha? And you said the dates are December 26th through
January 1st.
January 1st.
So it begins the day after Christmas and runs to New Year's Day. And
are there any clothes?
New Year's Day is a great celebration when we're together.
Are there any traditional clothes that you wear?
We generally dress in African attire, but you can wear any clothes that you like. Most of the women will at least have their headdresses on, sometimes big, beautiful headdresses. And the gentlemen will wear their kufis, the men's hat. Some women wear kufis as well, but you'll see beautiful headdresses. This piece that I had on, I told Miss Evie, came from Nigeria. It was a gift to me. And it has the symbols of the unbroken circle. Even in the collar, the circle is not broken. It's always together. And that symbolizes families being together and coming together and worshiping together and just having fun together.
When you light a candle each night, are the previous candles also lit, or is it just one at a time?
Each night you light the first candle, then the second candle. When you come back the third night, you would light the first candle, the second candle, and the third candle, and so forth and so on. You go back and forth each night, and of course you light by the end of the week, all the candles are lit.
What country did that song you sing at the beginning come from?
That comes from Ghana, West Africa.
Okay.
Ghana, West Africa. It's a welcome song. And if we were together, we would have a little call and response where I would say funga, you would say funga, and I would say alafia, and you would say alafia. So it's an interactive song, and a lot of the music from Africa is interactive. Call and response, I should say.
And do you have a closing song for us?
Oh, yeah. This song that I'm going to close with you is when we finish answering questions is called Agagaye, Agagaye. And it says, and this is for my children, that you are to be all that you can be and work at it daily. And you can be anything that you want to be. You don't have to just be something someone told you to be. You can be whatever you put your mind to be, you can be. So we'll sing that when we finish with answering questions, okay? Agagaye, Milo, Agagaye, Milo, Agagaye, Milo, Agagaye, Milo, Agagaye, Milo, Agagaye, Milo, Agagaye, Milo. Thank you so much for letting me come. I hope to see you again.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. And I really, really want to thank Mother Minter for sharing all of the information that she has. We have often get questions at the library about Kwanzaa that, quite frankly, we can't answer. So I am glad to have had her here today. And once again, I want to thank the Friends for sponsoring this activity. And thank you for coming and listening. Appreciate you being here.